We don't have democracy in Nigeria. We're not practicing democracy.
What are we practicing?
In fact, presently we're in the position of state capture by majority criminal-minded, self-imposed political opportunists parading themselves around as leaders in Nigeria. And they know what they are doing. And I've said it. If what we say we are practicing, if we say we're in democracy, what is happening in Nigeria cannot happen. Do you know that the terrorists that are killing Nigerians, I mean indigenous population that are being killed, these are terrorists that were permitted by the government of Nigeria to emigrate or migrate into Nigeria from the Sahel. The governor of Bauchi State, what's his name, Bala Mohammed, is walking around free. He declared that Allah gave Nigeria to Muslims all over Africa, that they should come to Nigeria and occupy. And these people are killing Nigeria's indigenous population with absolute impunity.
Hausa people, what is really wrong with you people? What is really wrong with you people? You people are not the only one that runs this country. Just yesterday, the House of Rep rejected the Sharia law that the Northerners introduced to govern the entire nation, Nigeria. Does it even make sense to you? A country that has 4 major tribes. Not only do they have 4 major tribes, they speak different languages. They practice different religion. They have different cultures. And people want to introduce Sharia law, an Islamic law. Imagine the Igbos coming to impose Ahmadiyya on our law. Or the Christian community coming to impose Christian law on the whole of Nigeria. Regardless of where the religion you belong to. It doesn't make sense. You people are not the only one that runs this country. I say, if they do something more than they use on our brain. There are things you see. How do you even... God. Does it even make sense? Introducing a Sharia law in a country that practices different religion, that speak different dialect, that don't even understand themselves. We are not even done with the government itself being one. Sharia law I want to introduce. On a decrease.
We are not an Islamic state. We're a secular state. We're not a celestial state. We're a secular state. We are not a traditional worship state. We're a secular state that respects and gives everybody a sense of belonging.
Welcome back to Local Journal, my people. It be like say these Fulani people, they no rate Nigerians at all. We never finish talk about their excesses for inside this country. Now that they put for Sharia law seriously for inside Oyo State. Waiting with the problem of these people. The Southwest, it is different from the North, where we say they very conservative and now only I be mostly Muslims na in be for that place. But for Southwest, these are people where we say they liberal. Now people where we say they very accommodating and they get several religions where they practice for that place. No be saying that for North where Islamic religion plenty past na in be this. As on they practice on a Sharia law for inside North, nobody don't ever tell una anything and nobody don't ever stop una to dey practice them. Why una won't come impose this same thing for inside Yoruba land? And they see say some Yoruba people they support them seriously and they talk say they go do everything where they go fit do to ensure say they pass that bill and nobody go fit stand against that bill. But waiting me I won't talk be say the thing where they happen for inside Southwest, una know they see them not because of issue of some of these Fulani killings and some of these things where they go on for inside Southwest. Now in Igboho talk say they won't get Yoruba nation. Why una won't use una hand create avenue for these people to thrive again? Now don't forget what happened for inside Ilorin. Kwara State right from time na Yoruba State na it be and na Yoruba State na it supposed be. But this Fulani Caliphate they do everything where they fit do and they collect that state, install their people for inside that place. Until today, them don't collect the state from Yoruba people hand. So why would they allow this kind of thing make it happen again? Some they feel say na then sabi pass, na then no pass, and they talk say they like the law, they want the law, they talk plenty things on top this matter. Even Oluwo of Iwo they talk say they must pass the bill and nothing will happen. Say they must do everything to ensure say that bill they must pass them. Now waiting in the talk with that. But in don't forget say traditionalists, Christian and Muslims then they for inside Southwest. Some few years ago for inside Offa, when some traditionalists talk say they won't do one festival like that. Shebi the emir of Ilorin stop them and he talk say that one no go fit happen at all. Why did they try impose Sharia law for inside Oyo State? Where we say na mixed religion na info for that place. Christian dey there, Muslims dey there, and traditional worshippers then dey there. You can carry something like Songo Festival or Amadioa Festival enter inside North, then go accept them, they go agree. This thing is not supposed to be like this. Make we learn to respect ourselves. Nigeria don't dey divided already, and many people they complain. We never even solve this problem yet because many people they talk say they won't come out, and this one can't dey happen. Well, on top of this matter, plenty people don't shook mouth talk. Even the House of Rep don't shook mouth inside this matter on top saying that one of their colleagues now they sponsor this bill. So I go play the video so that we'll watch the video together. But before I play the video, if today now be the first time they visit our channel, make you like, make you share, and make you subscribe.
Oluwo of Iwo, Osun State, Oba Abdul Rashid Akanbi has asserted that no government can deny Muslims in the southwest their constitutional right to adopt Sharia law. What do you make of this story, Mankitane?
Well, it's a very sad position, and I'm going to take a very different view. I've always advocated, and I tell people, let me say it straight, we don't have democracy in Nigeria. We're not practicing democracy.
What are we practicing?
In fact, presently we're in the position of state capture by majority criminal-minded, self-imposed political opportunities, parading themselves around as leaders in Nigeria, and they know what they are doing. And I've said it. If when we say we are practicing, if we say we're in democracy, what is happening in Nigeria cannot happen. Do you know that the terrorists that are killing Nigerians, I mean indigenous population that are being killed, these are terrorists that were permitted by the government of Nigeria to emigrate or migrate into Nigeria from the Sahel. The governor of Bauchi State, what's his name, Bala Mohammed, is walking around free. He declared that Allah gave Nigeria to Muslims all over Africa, that they should come to Nigeria and occupy. And these people are killing Nigeria's indigenous population with absolute impunity. Under the last administration, Adesina had the guts and the audacity to tell indigenous population in Nigeria that they had better given their ancestral land to these terrorists rather than being killed.
That wasn't that when the issue of land grazing came up.
Of course. That is what they are pursuing. I can tell you now for free, as we are talking now, these terrorists that are killing Nigerians, as they kill them, they move, they take over their land. What they are after is land taking. And then the question is this, for me, by section 10 of the Constitution, you talk about, what do you call it, that Nigeria is a free state wherein you can worship anything you want to worship. You have right, what we call freedom of religion. You can worship whatever you want to worship. That is not my problem. But a situation like this present government that is in place, I have studied it carefully, and I've told some people who care to listen to me that there are two prongs on which this present government came into office. One, in alliance with people that they call neo-colonialists. If you check the economic policies of the government, they are practically pure neo-colonialists. Do you know that the petroleum minister is the president of this country?
Yes,
do you know that Nigeria has what we call globally recognized comparative economic advantage in the production of crude oil? In the light of that, Nigeria has no business with importation of crude oil. We have enough here. Instead, Nigeria is killing its youths who are into parallel refining instead of collaborating with them to make life easy for Nigerians. Now, all that they are pursuing, and another thing is alliance with these terrorists. This is the only country in the world that the government claims that it is rehabilitating terrorists that are killing its citizens.
Mankitane,
yes,
I would actually want us to, limit our conversation towards the Sharia, a constitutional right for Muslims, because there have been a lot of controversies surrounding the implementation. Well, Sharia came out. The Muslims said it wasn't a Sharia court that they wanted to inaugurate in Oyo State. That what they wanted to inaugurate was a Sharia arbitration panel. And that panel doesn't have any punitive powers. However, arguments are that this Sharia court, it's coming from, they want to inaugurate it in a region that is predominantly Christian.
Let me say this to you. There's an agenda that is being pursued. There's what we call the policy of testing the ground.
Okay.
Now, children do that a lot. When they come around, they come to the house. They will test the parent on certain issues, try and see whether it will work. I have said it, and I'm saying to you that there is a sinister agenda that is on the ground that is tilted towards. I'm very sorry, but you may hold me account to it, and I have facts to prove it. That everything is tilting towards Islamization agenda. Why would you ask me? You ask me.
Can you present your facts?
Right. You can ask me. Why am I saying that?
Yes, that's the question.
Now, the reason why I'm saying that is what I have told you earlier. There is no nation of the world that the purpose of government is for the protection of life and properties of each citizen. By section 14 of the constitution, power belongs to the people. You and I here, you can't be in government house. That's why there is supposed to be election. And it is deemed that those that we voted for are our representatives. They have our will, they have our interests. But we have a situation wherein those that claim that they represent us are representing their personal agenda, and those that brought them to office. I've said it here very clearly, and some people don't seem to understand. If you understand the power of the judiciary, for instance, and what it does, like this agenda of Islamic this thing that they are pursuing. For me, Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state. Do you understand?
Nigeria is not a secular state.
What is in practice is not.
But what is in the constitution? It's Nigeria is secular.
The constitution is a mere piece of paper that is not being adhered to. When we go into other issue, I'll prove it to you. It's not being adhered to. As I'm speaking to you now, the judiciary is supposed to interpret the constitution, but the judiciary have been captured to be part of the executive. That is where we are now. And I've stated it clear that any nation of the world, to the best of my knowledge, whenever the judiciary is captured, the next thing that will happen is either revolution. Because if you know the enormity of the power of the gates of the law, that's why the political class fight to take over the gate and appoint their people who are not fit to be in office, to be in charge of the judiciary. Because whatever they want to, if you check, I'll just give you a classic example. Do you know that, I don't know how old you are, but for the time you started voting, do you know that consistently, it is not those that Nigerian wants, but it is only few members of tribunal and Supreme Court that decide who becomes the president? Not who Nigerian wanted to vote, per se. And that is a game that is being played and people don't understand. Do you know when this crisis started in Benue, they were burying the dead executively. It got to a point they buried them like we normally plant yam in my axis.
Mass burial.
No. You have stump that represent each individual that are buried. Okay. Then we cross from that. Now is mass burial. They use caterpillar to open the ground and then bury people. Communities are being wiped out. The full crisis we are having now, part of it is activities of terrorists. My friend who just came in from the north, Borno area, most of these terrorists, these people are the people in the illegal mining sector. You asked last week there was an incident that happened and these terrorists killed some of the civil defense that were protecting Chinese who came in for illegal mining. And it's a very funny situation. You know, when you understand the real state of affairs on the ground, you realize that this is just a game. The president cannot say anything. A country that has Ministry of Agriculture, some people came up and said that they need livestock. That is another way to bring in Ruga. So it's a funny thing that is happening. And you ask yourself, who did this to us? How did we come to this place? So they will just play a kind of a game. You just see, you hear about, talk about the next thing you are going to hear. They will tell you Sharia is here, and we know the consequences. Even this argument of tax that just faded away, kind of. The issue was,
let's not go into.
Yes, if you go to stay in the north and you say that you do not want beer in your territory. Do you understand? For instance, you don't want beer in your territory. Why are you taking the VAT from beer? You destroy other people's economic life. This is the same thing that happened. The same thing that happened, you know. Once Sharia is established into a place, they come in and tell you, regulate your life. So when you are within that enclave, they tell you that you cannot, because we operate and rely on what we have seen. If you meet an agricultural expert, he can tell you that this just hatched egg is a cockerel. You may argue with him and say, what do you see? What is the sign that this is a cockerel? He will tell you, don't worry, I've seen the sign. 6 months down the line, we have marked the leg of that. Yes, we marked the leg of that cockerel. You tell you, have you seen what I was telling you? It's like an experienced mother that the child misbehaves and takes in. The moment the mother looks at the child, her movement, nothing has shown, evidently, she knows that this child is pregnant. And she raises a question, what happened? And the father may just rant. Few months down the line, the mother may call the husband. Have you seen what I was telling you? Our daughter is pregnant. There are signs. You draw from what you have seen on the table before. With what has happened in the north under the guise of Sharia, there's not going to be anything different.
So now, in your opinion, Man Kitanen,
yes,
you're seeing this as the Muslim community is testing the waters, and the plan is to Islamize Nigeria. But they want to enter the southern region through Oyo State.
Sure.
They are testing the waters through Oyo State.
Sure.
And in your opinion, they said it's not Sharia court, but Sharia arbitration panel that they want to inaugurate, and it doesn't have punitive powers.
Listen to me.
Yes, go ahead.
You've heard about Obuteko. This security outfit. Do you know it has no constitutional basis? No constitutional basis. Obuteko Foundation is anchored in self-preservation. You'll be shocked at what you will do if you hear now that this house is on fire. Do you understand? You know, nature is on your side. In terms of, you know what I mean? Fine. And there's a live camera. 5 minutes later, you are told that no, there's no fire. It's a plank. You will be shocked at the attempt you made to find a way out of this studio. Because the moment life is threatened, nothing makes meaning. You can do anything to survive. It's just like part of what the government is doing, which is quite funny. You may not understand why this policy of poverty is implemented. Because the moment you are made poor, your brain shifts from significance to survival. Wow. And the moment you step onto the platform of survival, anything goes. Do you understand me? Omotekun came into us as a means of self-preservation. They realized, you know, the killing that happened in Ewo and the rest of them. They told themselves, what are we doing here? And then, because there's no part of the district that permits state police, it is only federal district that we have. But Omotekun is in place today as a result of move to preserve themselves. And nobody's talking about it. That's why I said Nigeria is a joke. We are joking here too much. Because people talk about constitution, I say, what are you talking about? What are you talking about constitution? Constitution for what? It's just something that they just put on the ground and they are paying lip service to it. Nobody is obeying it. So what is the basis? The intellectuals in the West, I smile when I hear people like Wole Soyinka. They are not going into deep silence. They can't talk again. Because even the church leaders, they can't talk again. They can't open their mouth. People like Adeboye. I'm shocked. I don't realize that religion in this country is used as an instrument that is pursuing a kind of political agenda. The question is, whose interests are they pursuing? Why would you allow terrorists from other countries? You know, when NDA was invaded, that is the highest point in the country when you talk about security. NDA was invaded with impunity. They invaded the national maximum prison in Abuja, and all one know that transpired. So this is just a game.
All right.
And it's so unfortunate. And I'm telling Nigerians, look, if we are in a country, we can sit down and decide our future together and say this is where we want to go. Even the issue of self-determination is a constitutional issue.
Mr. Speaker, our constitution allows for freedom of worship of all religions. Mr. Speaker, we would not sit in this hollow chamber and restrict ourselves to just a few. If we begin to put such components into the constitution, tomorrow the ecclesiastical faction comes up. The day after, the traditional faction comes up. The day after, all other components begin to come up. And what happens to our grand norm that is supposed to be the foundation of our existence? Mr. Speaker, Nigeria has never limited anybody from practicing his religion. You go to states like in the north where you have Sharia being practiced as the criminal code for those states. It is because it's peculiar to them as a people and as a persons. By the time we begin to expand it and bring it into our constitution, we are not an Islamic state. We're a secular state. We're not a celestial state. We're a secular state. We are not a traditional worship state. We're a secular state that respects and gives everybody a sense of belonging. We're a nation. We need to be sensitive to the mood and the existence freedom of speech, freedom of association, to live in happiness, not a scenario whereby there could be some misconceptions. To this end, I wish to crave the indulgence of the sponsor of this bill that he steps it down for more legislative input and consultation, which would be more in tune with our beliefs and the norms. But I do not believe it's a legislation that should pass for second reading. I so submit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues. I want to comment as the second to the last speaker spoke. In fact, the bill that was moved by the sponsor, we are supposed to commend him. I agree Nigeria is a secular state where we have different opinions, traditions, religion, and what have you. But if you see this motion or this bill, it will help Nigerians to know that these commercial banks, especially Taj Bank and what have you, many people have perceived that these banks are specifically for Muslim, while it is not. So by expanding this nature, I believe when it is encompasses to everybody, many people will see the benefit of this bill, and I believe in the near future, many people will see that the mover put this in a right direction. Thank you very much.
Honorable Kuya. I rise to add my voice to this all-important motion for a bill to amend our constitution with respect to the expansion of the description of Islamic law. Let me start by saying that the constitution mandates our government that they shall not adopt any religion as a state religion, meaning that Nigeria is a secular state. Number two is the fact that Section 38 is very clear as to the rights given to all Nigerians in terms of choice of religion and how they worship. Section 2 goes further to say that Nigeria is a federation consisting of the federal government and then the state government, giving the states the liberality to adopt whatever kind of law they want to use in governing their people. And that's why we have some states with all this Sharia law and all of that. They are permitted to do it, the State House of Assembly. But the Constitution, as a ground norm that governs all of us, the traditional institutions, the Obas in the Yoruba land, the Igwe in the east, the Shakiri, the Fulanis, the Hausas, gives us only one right, the right to choose whichever one we want. We can therefore not allow this constitution to become so filled with frivolities that is supposed to be the mandate of the state. We have all been clamoring for physical federalism. Give more power to the states to do it the way they want, to do it in the way of the culture of their people. And that's why I will want to implore the mover of this motion to please allow us to please step down this amendment for the time being, so that we can deliberate more on it. Because of course, from the way I see it, it's such that the state should be considering, not here. The problem of religious war, we started as far back as 1938 in this country. Let it not start here again. Let it not be that it is this house that is going to put fuel to the very fragile democracy, to the very fragile situation, the unity between us. It's very important. As we are talking now, people are hearing us, people are seeing us, thinking that we want to promote one religion over the other. I therefore pray that we step this down for the time being. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Of an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to reduce the description of Islamic law in the Constitution as related matters, HB 1502. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any second now? Yes, sir. Kwakwansia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Hassan Sheikh Hussein.
Distinguished colleagues, briefly, as the Speaker requested, the 1999 Constitution, as amended, the 1999 Constitution, as amended, Mr. Speaker, provide for a personal Islamic law in the Constitution. The Constitution did not envisage the dynamism and the development coming off in the country. In 2003, the Constitution did not recognize that the Islamic commercial law, Islamic company law, Islamic international law, Islamic public laws. In 2003, Mr. Speaker, Taj Bank came up under the commercial Islamic law. In 2019, another bank came up under the commercial law. That means the Jaiz Bank, not the Taj Bank. The Jaiz Bank was in 2004. The Taj Bank came in 2019. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you look at the personal law, it only encompasses marriage, divorce, and the inheritance. Therefore, what I'm requiring is the removal of section, the removal of personal in section 24 of the Constitution, section 262, section 277, and section 288, so that other relevant laws like the commercial law, Islamic commercial law, the Islamic company law, the Islamic international law can have a place in the Constitution. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is what I want the honorable colleagues to support so that this amendment can be done. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mr. Wiskwedi, I think is in the right direction to give a backup for the commercials and other laws that already we are practicing without proper backing, particularly in our Islamic-related financial institution of not only limited to Taj Bank or Jaiz Bank, but there are several banks that are now practicing, particularly the Mudahara and the other sharing formulas. I think this is a very welcome development that it will give even an economic leeway for the nation to see the goodness of such practices in our financial institution to get the backup of the law. I do support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, Bob Solomon, please. Solomon Bob, from the great state of Rivers. Now, this matter, actually, I think it will be dealt with in better technical detail at the committee level for constitutional review, because there's so much to say about this kind of okay, I'm sorry, yes, I was told you were not listening to me. I'm saying that this bill will be better dealt with in broader technical detail at the level of committee for constitutional review. But straight off, the section you're referring to, if it is removed, the word personal is removed, the implication immediately is that Islamic law will now have a general application with respect to criminal law across the country. The word personal there will put for a purpose. So if you remove it, that's the implication. It will have great consequences. So we can look at the details of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, and advise at the committee level. with respect to the references made to Taj Bank and Jais Bank, their operations have not been in any way hindered. There are regulations dealing with those matters concerning banks, CBN Act, and all the rest of them. So those are matters that the banks can deal with. They don't have to incorporate, or attract or drag interest with respect to commercial ambitions to the Constitution. So essentially, Mr. Speaker, my point is, this bill should be referred to the Committee on Constitutional Review, where we can sit down and then look at, it to a T in every way. Thank you.
Thank you for making it brief. I like the federal constituency of Osun State. Mr. Speaker, I want to, with respect, differ from the mover of the bill on the need for us to amend the Nigerian Constitution in this particular instance. And I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, because as students of history, we all know the issues surrounding the particular section in reference, especially at the various constituent assemblies leading to the 1979 Constitution, the 1989 Constitution that was not promulgated, and now the 1999 Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the drafters of the Nigerian Constitution are very conscious of the secularity of the Nigerian nation, and also very conscious of the sensitive nature of religion. And I remember the 1976 Constitutional Assembly, the 1979 Constitution, was very, very contentious on this matter, until the then federal military government came in to stop further debate on this matter and took a decision that the application of Islamic laws will only be constrained to personal matters, which has to do with the administration of estates and some other issues. Mr. Speaker, we have to be very, very cautious of whatever we do to alter the Nigerian Constitution in a manner that will further widen the divide that we have as a country. And in any case, Mr. Speaker, like my previous colleague said, the matters which my colleague seek to address by this proposal is already covered by existing laws. The Kama law, covers regulation on issue of finances and allows for its application of Islamic principles of financial transaction. The same thing with the CBN Act, like you rightly said. And the moment we allow the Constitution to be altered to take care of all manner of interests, we will no longer be in the state where the sanctity of the Constitution is respected, and the intent of the drafters of the Nigerian Constitution via or as regards to the secular nature of the Nigerian nation might be threatened if we allow this to go on. Mr. Speaker, I sincerely think that this bill should not pass on for the second reading. For these reasons I've adduced. Thank you.
Thank you. Abdul Hakim Kamil Ado, representing Udilgarko Federal Constituency, Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make it brief to say that while being cautious, but we have to consider, and considering also the divisions we have in this country, we have to consider the ethics, the values, and the interest of the masses. Because we are here in this hollow chamber to represent the Nigerians, and also not to make a religion or a tribe or a community, not to constrain them from practicing something which is their way of life. We all know that Nigeria comprises of so many religions and also tribes and communities. But these religious matters, we consider it as a way of life, not just a mere religion. So considering the ethics and the values and the interest of the masses, not looking at the division or being cautious of what this will cause, Mr. Speaker, I think this bill is supposed to pass for the second reading. In my opinion, Mr. Speaker, we need to commend the Honorable Misau for coming up with this bill in order to unite and to create a room, free room or an interest for people that are practicing Islamic religion to practice their religion freely and to consider some way of life which comprises so many things. Talk less of the commercial that he talked about. There are so many things we need to consider in order to encompass it under this bill. If at all we are considering this bill to be passed, via the committee, then, Mr. Speaker, as you said earlier, that we are here as parliamentarians in order to pass bills, and it doesn't have to go through the committee. So we can pass it, and then later on the committee can consider what they can do about the bill. But we are here to debate it, and we are debating it. So let us go on with the debate, and later on consider what we can go with in this hollow chamber. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much,
Speaker. My name is Honorable Isa Muhammad Anka, representing Anka Talata Mafra constituency. I'm from Zamfara State. My able Speaker, our honorable colleagues, I wouldn't want to dwell on issues already spoke by the last speaker. In other words, he has spoken my mind. But the other speaker, the last but one, talked about karma. Karma is already embedded in the constitutions. Therefore, it takes care of other commercial laws. And I think we need to understand the subject matter of this bill. The bill is calling for description of Islamic law. In other words, the bill is seeking the House to define, because of the existing situations now, looking at the issue of, like he rightly called, other commercial laws that have not been embedded, that have not been taken care into the Constitution. I think it's a straightforward bill. He's not calling the fact that, he's not calling for expanding the existing Sharia law, but rather to define it in order to encompass all those, existing situations that have just come. That is my contribution, sir. Thank you very much.
He's not talking about Sharia law. He's talking about the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So that we get it right, his bill is about the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not the Sharia law. Okay, Jonathan, please, let's hear you.
My name is Honorable Said Musa Abdullahi. I represent the people of Bida, Bakokacha Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I'm from Niger State. Mr. Speaker, I think we need not lose sight of what the proposer of the bill intends to achieve. I understand how sensitive matters related to religion are, especially in this country. But the fact of the matter is, we cannot treat religion issues in isolation. There are issues that we must bring to the front burner and discuss, irrespective of how sensitive they are. I didn't want to stand, but I looked at the sensitivity. Even from the argument, you could see the sensitivity that is driving the sentiment that is driving the argument. But if we focus, if we focus on what the bill intends to achieve, the bill intends to review the description of Islamic law, which means it's already enshrined in the Constitution. What it seeks to achieve is to review the description. So it's already in the Constitution. I don't understand why we will see it as something that we need to snowball into a crisis or what have you. This is what we have done that over the years that has led us to not make progress on certain issues. It doesn't matter how sensitive these issues are. We must be able to debate them. This is what our people sent us here to do. If we run away from discussing a problem, if we assume it to be a problem, and we're running away from discussing it, how will you provide a solution to it? I will agree and accept the fact that there is need for further, broader consultation. But for us to run away from the problem, for us to drop it and say it's not an issue to be discussed on this floor, I don't think it's something that is acceptable. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
My name is Honorable Abejide. I represent the good people of Yagba Federal Constituency. I'm from Kogi State. Mine is an appeal because of the mood in the House now, that this bill be stepped down for when we have all our leaders seated, so that they can also contribute to the debates. I want to appeal that if you look today now, most of the leaders are on their way to Jigawa State to commiserate with them. Because of the sensitive nature of this bill, my appeal is for us to step it down and let us have a full house and full time to discuss this bill. We cannot rush it. The way we want to rush it, it may not even get the result that we want the bill to achieve. I'm not saying the bill should not go. All I'm saying is that let us have time to discuss it in full. As I'm speaking to you, I have not seen the details of the bill. So, and for us to be able to contribute meaningfully, we need the details of this bill. Without the details of the bill, if you are talking, you are only talking to the air. Maybe it's different from those sections you are quoting in the Constitution. And it may not have any issue to deal with it. Let us have the details of this bill so that we digest it and come back another day for the debate. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues.
No matter how you look at it, our diversity is what defines us. So when issues like this come up, it must be thoroughly looked into and should not be done in a haste. Let me ask you, how many of you have copies of this bill? If you have, I would like to know the percentage of people who have copies of this bill. And you can, if I ask you about one or two paragraphs, you read it for me. If I appoint you now and say, give me 2-3 paragraphs in that bill, and you're able to mention it to us, it means that you have it. Let me ask you, if you know you don't have a copy, raise your hand. And it is the rule of this house that you must have a copy so that you debate from that copy. If you say you have a copy, I'll call you now and I'll ask you questions on some of the paragraphs and the sections he's referring to. You will not be able to answer it. And this issue is an issue that we need to thoroughly analyze.
Please, order please.
It is our rule here that issues like this, we must have copies we look at. And if the copies are not there, we take another step. But I won't be taking that step from this chair. It will come from the house. So if the majority of the people say they don't have copies of this bill, whether it is good or bad, you don't have the copies, you need to have the copies for us to deliberate on it. Let me hear you, Nkem Kama.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, Kama Nkem Kama is my name. I represent the awesome people of Ohozara, Onitsha, and Yoruba Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Ebonyi State. Mr. Speaker, this motion is a very sensitive one. This bill is a very sensitive one. And before this bill can be talked about here or debated, one, I believe that all of us here should have a copy of this bill to look at it and be able to go through it because of the sensitivity of this particular bill, sir. Mr. Speaker, I don't envy you today, but one thing I'm very sure, I hereby move that this bill...
Please, somebody has the floor. Allow him to finish.
Please.
Then we'll recognize you.
And I have the procedural of the Speaker. I hereby move that this bill be stepped down today and let it be shared for all of us to have a look at before further action can be taken on this bill. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I represent Andoni Okpobo Nkoro Federal Constituency. I am a Rivers man. Mr. Speaker, my very distinguished colleagues, recall that just yesterday, I had a bill to alter a section of the Nigerian Constitution as well. And concerns were raised that portion was well crafted in the interest of the peace and unity of this country. That amendment should be stepped down. It took just the Speaker presiding yesterday to step down that bill. One common interest for the peace, unity of this country. This is similar to what we did yesterday, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, for that same singular purpose of the unity of this country, the peace and stability of all of us, I second this motion, since it has gotten to this point, that this bill be stepped down for this moment, so that we can do elaborate engagement and get back to it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Move a second.
Point of order, sir.
You throw the question open to the House. So we'll vote now.
Point of order, sir.
Please, you don't order when the Speaker is speaking. You don't order him. You can only order when others are speaking.
Point of order.
So
when
what we'll do...
Point of order, you should take it. Mr. Speaker, point of order. You shouldn't ignore us. Please.
Please. Can you hear Mr. Speaker first, please? Now, the motion here is that it be stepped down. You can say no. If the vote say no, don't step it down. Mr. Speaker has no right to step it down. But the motion has been moved and seconded. If we say
our laws are very clear, Mr. Speaker. When there is a point of order, we should take
speaking.
Please. I'm not.
No. Please sit down, please. Sit down. When we vote and the vote says no, we don't step it down, we vote on the main issue raised by the bill. After all, it's a constitutional matter. He can also go to. Manu, don't be unruly, please.
No, I'm not being unruly.
We can also vote on it, and it will go to constitutional review. You understand? And then if it goes to constitutional review, we go public hearing. So there are so many ways to solve this problem. Let's not leave our procedure. Okay? So let me ask the question. Those in support that it be stepped down, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. How do we measure the decibel? Let me ask again. Those in support that it be stepped down, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The nays have it. That this be read the second time. Say aye. Those against, say nay. Nay!
This one is clear.
The nays have it. All right, it's good to vote on these things and then decide thereafter.